How Trump admin is breaking the CCP's hold on rare earths. The United States recognized decades ago that the Chinese Communist Party was subsidizing a vast expansion of Chinese mining and processing capacities to manipulate mineral and metal markets and dominate global manufacturing supply chains. As early as 1980, with the adoption of the National Materials and Minerals Policy, Research and Development Act, Congress declared an urgent priority to strengthen materials research, development, production capability, and performance of the United States. Yet, in the past half-century, domestic manufacturers, including in the nation's defense industry, have only become more reliant on imported minerals and processed metals, beholden to CCP market manipulation, as documented by the U.S. Geological Survey in January. This vulnerability is long-standing. It was made glaringly apparent during 2010's rare earths crisis, when China restricted global exports of rare earths. In 2023, when it restricted gallium, germanium, and graphite to the United States. And in April, when it expanded restrictions to include gadolinium, dysprosium, lutetium, samarium, scandium, terbium, and yttrium. The United States is 100% import reliant for all these rare earths, among 30 key minerals for which China controls at least 75% of global processing capacity, according to New York-based Exeger, which has developed a proprietary AI platform that uses predictive signal intelligence to identify supply chain risks. When the CCP added 7 rare earths to its export restrictions in April, this long unresolved urgency became an existential threat, according to Derek Lemke, senior vice president at Exeger. The reality is, this is no longer a hypothetical risk. It's a real, quantifiable supply chain choke point right now, he told the Epoch Times. We're seeing the weaponization of the periodic table. In his second administration, President Donald Trump is countering this decades-long slide the old-fashioned American way, making mining and refining profitable again. In the last few years, it's been this gradual build, but in the last 7-8 months, President Trump has taken on critical minerals and made it a priority, said Steve Christensen, executive director of the Responsible Battery Coalition. The Washington-based coalition, whose members include Honda, FedEx, battery makers such as Clarios and Intech, and auto parts retailers, has been raising the alarm about reliance on China for minerals since it was founded in 2017. The president understands this issue, I think, probably better than any president in recent history, Christensen told the Epoch Times. However, it will take years, maybe decades, to revive the nation's mining industry and reshore metal processing capacities for U.S. industries to access resources resilient to CCP market meddling. In the interim, it will require coordination with allied nations, according to Ramon Butts, who owns Bullion Hub, a gold and precious metals brokerage based in Melbourne, Australia. The direction is clear. Washington is striking deals with Canada, Australia, and parts of South America to spread supply risk, he told the Epoch Times. The problem is speed. New refineries take years to plan, finance, and build, so China's lead in processing metals is not going to vanish in the short term. Critical clarities. The groundwork for expediency has been laid, said Avadh Nagarlawala, an Arizona-based mining automation consultant. The EV transition, modernization of the grid, and national security priorities are all creating urgency that didn't exist in quite the same way before, he told the Epoch Times. Nagarlawala cited the 2021 Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the 2022 CHIPS and Science Act and Inflation Reduction Act, and the Obama-era establishment of a Department of Defense fund to subsidize reopening Mountain Pass Mine in California by MP Materials, until this summer the nation's only rare earths mine as pivotal precursors. That said, the hurdles remain steep, he said. The U.S. isn't short of resources. It's short of refining, recycling, and permitting speed. That's where the race will be won or lost. It wasn't until Trump's first term that a clear federal priority to define, source, and develop a critical mineral supply chain impervious to CCP market manipulation emerged. In December 2017, Trump issued an executive order requiring an all-agency focus on securing minerals and metals needed for economic development and national defense. The order was spurred by USGS's 2017 report documenting that the nation was 100% import-reliant on 20 minerals, a 250% increase since 1954. The Trump administration directed the USGS to define critical minerals, how domestic industries need them, and where they can be mined and processed. In 2018, USGS published its first critical minerals list, identifying 35 minerals considered critical to the economic and national security of the United States. Trump, in a September 2020 executive order, declared a national emergency due to dependence on critical minerals from foreign adversaries, particularly China, directing agencies to secure domestic supply chains. In December 2020, Congress adopted the Energy Act of 2020, which defines a critical mineral as one essential to the U.S. economy or national security, with a supply chain vulnerable to disruption, without which the absence would have significant consequences. The bill requires USGS to update its critical minerals list every 3 years beginning in 2022, and orders the Department of the Interior to track reliance on critical minerals from foreign adversaries after publishing initial findings mandated by the 2020 executive order. While President Joe Biden rescinded 72 of Trump's 220 executive orders during his White House term, he retained the critical mineral actions. In 2022, USGS published its first 3-year critical minerals list update. The nation was now import-reliant on 50 mineral commodities, up from 35 in 2018. In 2024, DOI published its first import reliance report mandated under Trump's 2020 order. Among the findings is that the United States imported 80% of rare earths, 100% of gallium and graphite, and up to 76% of lithium, nickel, and cobalt. Following his 2024 re-election, Trump declared a national energy emergency and issued his Unleashing American Energy Order to ensure a more secure, predictable, and affordable supply of critical minerals and materials, according to a statement by the Department of Energy. The president followed with a March executive order requiring agencies to expedite projects by streamlining permitting, opening more federal lands for mining, and including critical mineral development under the Defense Production Act. In April, he signed an executive order to kickstart deep-sea mining within the U.S. Outer Continental Shelf, directing the DOI to establish permitting and licensing processes. On August 26, USGS published its second 3-year updated critical mineral list. While arsenic and tellurium, among 50 commodities on 2022's list, are recommended for removal, the proposed new version includes 6 new entries, bringing the list to 54. Exeger's Lemke noted the new list is the first significant change to these lists in a number of years, adding copper, potash, silver, silicon, radium, and lead, and marks a clear whole-of-government list with USGS taking the lead from parallel Pentagon and DOI lists. Nagaralawala said classification is a good start, but the capacity of smelting, refining, and recycling will determine whether this policy shift delivers real energy and security resilience, he said. For that to happen, Lemke said, it will require a whole-of-industry approach in investing and government commitment in, if not subsidizing, at least supporting markets that can weather CCP manipulation. Christensen said, we're exploring how that might work. Something has to be done, he said, specifically citing the need for antimony, a key battery mineral not mined in the United States since 1982. Processors in China control half the global market for it. So how do you walk away from level of control? Lemke said, I know some in government and in industry are saying, how do we create this market here? We're supporting some of that work right now. Momentum and markets. Exeger, founded in 2013, is the largest provider of supply chain technology to the U.S. government and a key participant in the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency's Open Price Exploration for National Security Project. We're utilizing AI to look at structural price models for these minerals, costs to produce within China, costs to produce within the United States, and starting to provide some data to the level of manipulation that you see, Lemke said. He said the driving question is, where can U.S. industry or U.S. allied industry be successful in developing markets less vulnerable to CCP manipulation? The Open Project is orchestrated through the Critical Minerals Forum, created in November 2024 and funded by the agency through 2029. More than 30 mining companies, manufacturers, and investors have joined. You're starting to see where it's not government control, but this kind of government-backed industry, Lemke said, noting that while the Pentagon subsidizes MP Materials operations at Mountain Pass, there's burgeoning industry investment elsewhere, such as Apple with their own $500 million investment in mineral sourcing. Since July, it's more than a subsidy. The Department of Defense has set a floor price for minerals and materials pivotal in manufacturing magnets with a $400 million investment in MP Materials, which has opened a second processing plant in Texas. Among Exeger's roles is identifying where supply chain vulnerabilities are now and where they could be depending on varied scenarios. Do we have enough diversified, multiple sources coming online that can refine these products to the grade and requirements needed for some high-tech applications? Lemke said. In other words, we need not just to be able to refine, for example, copper, but to refine it to certain grades so it can be used in different applications. It's a whole of government and industry effort to provide visibility down from a part to the hole in the ground, he said. That lack of visibility has really been one of the bottlenecks in enabling investment. Under Trump, a flood of money is galvanizing existing programs such as the Defense Industrial Base Consortium, the U.S. Permitting Council, and the Department of Energy's Critical Minerals and Materials Accelerator. In August, the department proposed shifting $1 billion from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act programs into critical mineral projects. On August 13th, the Department of Energy announced awards of up to $50 million for American industry-led partnerships to prototype and pilot innovative critical materials processing technologies, $250 million for producing valuable mineral byproducts, $135 million for demonstration projects that enhance domestic supply chains for rare earths, up to $500 million for critical mineral and materials projects, and $36 million to recover critical minerals from industrial wastewater. Many question if these initiatives can overcome China's market domination without direct subsidization. Christensen wonders, too. Those are things I think need to be explored because we're playing against an opponent that is not confined to market forces. Will manipulate the price of their own product just to get it out there, just to keep others out of the marketplace, he said. If you play by market rules, the rules we all learned in Economics 101 in our first ever business class in high school, if we play by those rules, China isn't, and will lose every time. Lemke is more optimistic. The quickest way to spin up this industry is to get the large players together and have them 1. Quantify their need, 2. Make the direct investments needed. This process of osmosis, things filtering down. Hoping the demand signals come down, he said. It's an existential challenge few Americans understand. It's a battle not just in the highways, in the streets, Lemke said. It's in the alley.